Hi friends, it's Em and welcome back to another video. Welcome back to the 2026 reading journal, bullet journal setup. Whew, what a mouthful. I love setting up a new journal. Even if all I do is set it up and then never touch it again, there is something so intrinsically special about the whole experience, and I'm here for it. Today, I am setting up an 8x8 Archer and Olive bullet journal, and I'm using a bunch of Archer and Olive washi tape that I don't believe you can purchase anymore. I could be wrong. If you can, let me know, because I need more of this Greater Good collab washi, and some stickers from Pipsticks. There's also going to be a mix of hand lettering with some Tombow Fudenosuke's, as well as a little bit of Crayola gets sort of tossed in at the end. There is a lot going on, okay? And really the first thing that I just want to say about with this journal setup is that you don't have to have it all figured out, right? You don't have to have it figured out when you start or when you're doing it in the middle or even at the end. So for example, you've just seen I made something and it said reading goals at the top, and then I never set any reading goals. That's because I don't know what they are yet. I'm thinking that maybe, I think I want to focus on reading my shelves, like what's on my NetGalley shelf, as well as my personal, physical TBR. I think that I want to focus on reading BIPOC and indie authors. Really, there's a lot in there, and I'm not sure exactly what I want to do, but I am sure that I want to do it, so I made a header, and it's blank. I'm also making another spread for the Knox Book Club. I really enjoyed printing out the cover and sort of gluing it in. I think that what I might do this year, potentially, I usually don't do this, but I'm thinking about maybe printing the book cover a little smaller and then using some star stamps or star stickers to go in and put how many stars. I thought about it. I could also put it above the title. I think there's just enough room for it, and that could work. And then we also have the 12 Friends, 12 Recs challenge. And I think that where I have failed on this challenge previously, I think I read this year maybe 8 or 9 of them. But the problem was that it was a recommendation from a friend, but it wasn't a recommendation for me from that friend necessarily. So there were some books on there that I was like, well, I know you love this book, but do you really think that I will love this book? So with that in mind, you're welcome to leave a recommendation, and I might pick it for my 12 Friends, 12 Recs. I also want in this to maybe keep note of who recommended it to me, particularly because it's really nice to know whose taste in reading aligns with yours. If you're here for, some fantasy, some romance, mystery, thriller, if you read all over the place, hello, I'm Em, I'm your girl. Another reading challenge that I love is the Buzzword Readathon and the Buzzword Cover Challenge. When I was filming this video, they had not released the prompts yet, so I'm going to get to fill in the prompts later, and I'm excited about that. They did just drop, and I think I'll try to link either to the videos themselves or to the Storygraph challenges for these. I think that would be really potentially useful, and I'm really excited. I don't do this how you're supposed to necessarily. How they usually would do it is they say, okay, in month 1 you do this, in month 2 you do that, and I'm the kind of person where I'm like, oh, you gave me a challenge? Let me do 90% of it in the first month. Some of that is accidental, of course, but I like reading what I like reading, okay? And ultimately, all of these challenges are supposed to be fun, and if they stop being fun, you can stop doing them without any guilt. That's how I felt about 12 Friends, 12 Recs, particularly after I DNF'd like 3 of them. Oops. Now, I will say also that I can be a stickler when it comes to, especially for buzzword, if it meets a prompt or not. That is my fatal flaw. I'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't believe that that's a measurement word. I don't think that that's a pun. I think that's just a misspell, all sorts of silly stuff. Now, we are also going to be doing 26 in 2026. So previously, a friend of mine, Books with No Pictures, was running this over on Instagram. The thing about this particular challenge is that you pick 26 backlist titles for you to read in that year. So honestly, what I did is I sat down in front of my TBR shelf and I wrote down 26 books that I have on that shelf that I think I want to read. And ultimately, we'll see, right? And I will say, one thing about this challenge was that you pick, right, on, let's say January 1st, all of those books that you're going to read. Well, things change. For example, what if you pick every single book in a series and you read the first one and you hate it and you're like, well, crap, now I have to think of 7 more books. So there is absolutely some free space lying around. It makes me think of that thing from Step Brothers where they're like, there's so much room for activities. I do have room if I DNF one of these books, which technically, right? Technically, you can't just decide not to read it. You have to DNF it. That's like the thing. So if I DNF any of these books, I'll have space to write in another one. I don't know if I'll put like a big dramatic X or what. However, they do also have a bonus challenge for this, which I think it's like 15 different genres for you to pick. I don't think I will have room for 15 more books on here though. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Some of the highlights on this list. One is The Bullet Swallower, which, okay, yeah, we all know it's M. She doesn't know anything about what she has on her shelf. But this was on my 25 in 2025, and I did not make it to it. But I have a sneaking suspicion I might be able to read it with my mom, so that could be really good. Other books on here. One Italian Summer, which is by, I believe, Rebecca Searle. I never read it. I feel like everybody else read it. And I guess I'm finally going to do it. I don't really know. Also on my list is Three Shattered Souls. God, I cannot say that title straight. By Mai Corland. This is the third and final book in that sort of like 3 broken blades, 4 ruined realms, or 2 ruined realms, that sort of series. I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm invested. I didn't like book 2, but who knows? Maybe she'll rally. Honestly, like, yes, this is just a big pile of books that I have no idea about. I'm hoping that by making it through this pile that I'm gonna have a lot of prompts for other reading challenges done. So, The Devouring Gray, that has been on my TBR for so long, and that is a prompt for Bookopoly. So, that's great. The Second Chance Convenience Store is a translated work, also a prompt for Bookopoly. And, I would bet that some of these would also apply to, Buzzword Readathon, etc. This page actually also features a slight sticker hack, kind of. So you see to the right of the rightmost journal page, there is this really pretty bookshelf Well, every single like piece of like the books on there are individual stickers. The shelves themselves are long, incredibly thin stickers. So when I started trying to peel it off, immediately I knew that I was going to rip something. So what I did instead was I peeled, and you'll see me do it, part of it. I peel the little girl in the chair with the cat sticker off, set it down, and then I just trimmed around because it has this like clear, I can't remember if they call it PVC backing, but it's a clear backing. It's like a clear sticker, and so then I just put Tombow adhesive on it. So then I didn't have to peel off every single element on here. What's kind of fun about this is now if I wanted to make that shelf a little emptier, I could peel the stickers off of the top because they're attached to the sheet and the sheet is attached to the page, which I felt pretty cool about. I thought that was awesome. I'm also a little bit interested in the genre breakdown here. There's a lot of thrillers. There's also a number of just like kind of historical, not really historical books, because those, especially like, you know, you mix in a little fantasy and I say, oh, okay, maybe I can do this. But I'm so reticent to start these sometimes. So that would be like, I think Upon a Starlit Tide, A Sea of Unspoken Things. Those are the ones where I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure about this. But we'll see. I have room. If I DNF something, I will just write in a different title. And we have checkboxes. Checkboxes, literally, I need them so badly. Just so I can check it off and be like, I did it. I read this. Yay! Next, we are going to go into Bookopoly. All right. So, yet another reading challenge. I told myself that this year I was going to do less reading challenges, and I think I did it. Maybe by one, maybe not at all. But so Bookopoly is a reading challenge that I host with Knit Plan Jess. And last year I went through and I made a video completely devoted to Bookopoly. I don't think I have the energy for that this year. But the point of Bookopoly is that it's like the game Monopoly, and you traverse the board, whether, you know, some people actually like to roll dice and move around the board. You do not have to do that. If you want to, that's completely fine. So we've designed this Monopoly board, which I printed out on sticker paper and then stuck down in my journal. And I will have a link in the description to the story graph and the Canva page where you can print out this board for yourself. But the whole point of Bookopoly is that there's a bunch of different prompts, and in some sense, sometimes they're a little bit themed. For example, we have like the pink squares are kind of like romance, the green squares are kind of fantasy, but generally speaking, you're not limited to having to read a genre you don't want to read in order to fulfill a prompt. Most of them are pretty general. We also have railroad prompts in there, which are harder. They're harder than the other prompts. And I like that. I like it a lot. You can't finish Bookopoly all in the first day. It's not possible. Some of my favorite prompts from this year's Bookopoly that I want to talk about right now, we're just going to go through the prompts that I really like. You can see all of the prompts on the story graph, unless I forgot one, in which case I need to add it. So the easiest one that I really like is a book that's been on your TBR for 1+ years. On Goodreads and Storygraph, you can see when you added a book to your TBR. So it's kind of like a shelf of shame in that you can say, I added this to my TBR back in 2017 and it's now 2026. I believe, one of those on there would be Devouring Gray. That's certainly one that's been on my TBR for 1+ years. The Sky Blues by Robbie Couch on there as well. One railroad prompt that I really like is book read at a silent book club. So they have these in like 55 different countries, and you could just coordinate one with your friends too, where it's like a book club, but for the first hour is just quiet, independent reading, and then after that you can talk about what you read or hang out or eat snacks, stuff like that. I want to go to a silent book club this year, so I am pumped. I'm very pumped. Another prompt that I really like is included in the game Tiny Bookshop. They also literally just dropped an update adding like 1,000 books to this. So so long as, you look at you either play the game or you look at the linked Wikipedia article, you're not going to have an issue. Lots of the classics are in here. Basically every book by Agatha Christie is in this game. They have some really good books, and it might be a really nice way to sort of broaden your horizons a little bit. We also have on here another railroad. I had possibly too much fun with the railroads this month when I was doing the prompts, which is read a book seen in a TV show or a movie. So oftentimes you'll see a character reading a book in a TV show or in a movie, and you need to read that book. One big example of this would be, Taylor Swift recently on her docuseries was talking about The God of the Woods. And so, that would work for this. Just an example. I also quite enjoy the features the "and then there were none" trope. This is one where, you do kind of need to read a mystery for it. Sorry. Not sorry. And this trope was sort of popularized by Agatha Christie. So last year we did The Locked Room. This time we're doing "and then there were none." And it just means that people get picked off one by one until there are none left. And that's it. I also really like we have translated from another language and book that's out of your comfort zone. We don't do double dipping, right? You can't use one book for 2 prompts. But I think that, the whole point of reading is to learn things and get out of your comfort zone a little bit. So I think that, I think it'll be fun. I keep saying that. I don't know if I'm trying to convince myself. One other one that I have on here that I just think is hilarious is features a shadow daddy. These were popularized in some fantasy romantasy books, where it's just a very mysterious, broody, typically male, but I think that you could have a female shadow daddy. I think that's completely fine. Character where generally they're kind of mean to everyone but you. Often they have some kind of shadow power. That's where it came from, but they don't have to. And I thought it was hilarious. And I think that it's a common enough trope, particularly in fantasy books, that you should not have any trouble filling it. And the last one that I really like, because I'm going to be able to do it so fast, is the final railroad, which is read a book for another reading challenge. So not for this one. It could fit one of these prompts, hypothetically, but this would be if I read something for the buzzword readathon. I read it for that one, but it also fits this. I could also use it here in the read for another reading challenge. That is all. I just want, I want people to, you can do Bookopoly and you can do buzzword or Year of Goober or so many other things. And I just want to sort of share the reading challenge love. 26 and 26. That's another reading challenge. That would be something bing, bang, boom. You could even plan your backlist books so that they fit with Bookopoly. That would be like the big brain. And that's basically it for Bookopoly. Just a little bit of erasing and adding in some washi tape, and we are good to go. Next, we are going to be diving into A Year of Goober, which I started this like mid-May last year, which is why it wasn't initially in my first bullet journal setup, but I'm excited. I cannot wait to start Year of Goober. This year it is baking themed. Ghosty Goober wants to learn how to bake, so all of the prompts are like desserts, and they're related in some way, shape, or form, sometimes a little bit abstractly, to what the prompt actually is. Now, one caveat here is that I've listed out every single prompt because there's 2 for each month. Generally, it's expected that you just do 1, but I'm me and I read a lot, so I'm going to be doing 2 prompts, and whether I'm going to try to stick to doing the January prompts in January for this one, just because generally speaking, they're pretty loose. For example, January's prompts are first book in a series, and then overdone trope. Overdone trope is very, very easy, particularly if you read romance, because arguably every trope is overdone, and that's why they're tropes. But, some of the other ones, right, like, in August, there's a short story collection or anthology. That one I think is going to be harder for me. Maybe. It depends on, what's publishing around that time. So if there's a very niche prompt and I do it earlier in the year or later in the year, I'm going to give myself grace, and, it's 24 prompts by the end of the year. But we're going to try to maybe look at sort of revisit these prompts before coming back. Now, some prompts that I'm excited for. There is some overlap between this and Bookopoly, as well as, many other challenges. For September, we have humor or pun in the title, which I like. For August, we have read mostly in the morning, which would be easy for me because I generally listen to an audiobook on the way to work and continue that audiobook throughout the day. So most of it would be listened to in the morning. Multi-POV for March. Oh my god, I love a multi-POV story, particularly if it is... I almost said if it is good. If it's a thriller, I like it for those because you can't always tell who to trust. We also have a mystery or psychological thriller for October, but it's paired with its alternate prompt of a cozy read. I'm hopeful that there will be some really good cozy fantasies for me to read in October. That would be great. And then December, there's always a holiday book, right? There's so many Christmas themed, Hanukkah themed books. In December, there's a holiday theme prompt. So we'll get there and we'll figure out something for that. They also have a Discord for the Bujo Buddies book club, which is so many bees. There's so many bees to remember. But that is where they hold book club as well as, Discord discussions for Year of Goober, and later on the Goober Readathon. So I think that was in May this last year. So come May this year, I will probably have another setup for that. And I'm assuming that it's going to be something like recipe themed. Like maybe we have to collect ingredients or something to make a dish with Goober. Jess, if you're listening, maybe that's the idea. I don't know. But ultimately, I'm ready, and I'm hoping, to get a lot of double, triple, quadruple dipping across the board with, some of the books that I read in January. Really just get a whole bunch of things crossed off. I'm not sure what book I would read that is the first book in a series. If I look back at my 26 and 26, I might get a good idea. One thing that I could do is start the American Royals series. I have all of those books and I haven't read any of them, but I'm not sure. We'll have to see. Then the last but not least reading challenge is Rad Reading. This is 9 prompts, that's all it is, by All the Rad Reads over on Instagram. And I did this last year. There were some prompts on there that were a little funky. One of them was a fan fiction. That one was hard to find, but there are like a lot of books now that were originally fanfic and got turned into real traditionally published books. And then NetGalley and shelf reduction again. I did give up on filling this in like April because there was some discrepancies on like if I miscounted for my shelf reduction, then the numbers would be wrong and it made me sad. But I'm hoping that, with this sort of renewed vigor towards finishing my TBR, well, finishing might be too strong of a word, but making a dent in my physical TBR, that I will actually do this. So on the left is my NetGalley stats, on the right will be my shelf reduction. And I do have to actually write some reviews and hopefully get current on NetGalley before January. We'll see how that goes. Maybe I'll do it when I'm on vacation. And then it's just stickers. It's all just stickers. Here I'm sticking in a little adhesive folder to hold my stickers in. That's the key. And filling in just a few little extra gaps with, stickers, washi when I forgot it, because sometimes I was doing it one way and then I would just like move on and completely forget. But, that's how it goes. So let me know in the comments any number of things, including but not limited to what your reading goals are for 2026. Which of these challenges you think are cool if you're doing any of them. Are there any that you're doing that are not here? Maybe Pop Sugar or 52 Book Club, etc. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, happy planning.